Okay, Shay, what's one thing you see?
Um, I was looking up a definition. I wasn't just messing with my phone too.
What?
What's flyer?
Which one?
What?
What'd you find out?
It said it was a director. It came up with a producer, and I was like, no. So
That's disappointing.
yeah, that's very disappointing. I'll do it later. So first for the fisherman, I said it was the nurse.
She's a good fisherman up here?
Yeah.
All right. So, idea, big nurse. How come?
What?
I'm thinking you got a lot of support probably within here. I bet you would be the only one.
Yeah. I had well right after that it says catches hens, put them in the pens, so that it becomes like symbolism of like the hospital, putting them in cages and stuff.
Okay. Oh, that's a good start.
Oh wait, no, I remember. It was on like later. He keeps describing that he doesn't like the like Mrs. Tangle Toes, whatever, and that it's kind of
So this kind of going back to why she would end up being big nurse. Okay, because Chief's not going to like big nurse, we would assume. All right. Chief won't like her. Okay. What else? Whether it be kind of building off of that, or like additional things.
You can almost say when it says one flew east, one flew west, you can always say it's like the acute versus the chronic, and then the one that flew over it is McMurphy.
So the idea that these are kind of going in opposite directions.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just kind of go down here. So flew, and I'm assuming you're not like specifically going chronics have to be going east or west. Just the idea that you've got opposing directions. So flew east, west. The idea that you have chronics and acutes, and then one flew over Cuckoo's Nest. That one becoming Big Murphy. So, all right, Sarah.
I was gonna go along with that and say that like the U that's mentioned in like italics is chief because that goose McMurphy kind of swoops down and like saves him, and also that he likes the goose.
I like the goose. I don't like Miss Tingletoes. I like Grandma. All right, so so this kind of playing off of geese in a flock, the one flying over the cuckoo's nest, that one end up being McMurphy as well. Okay.
I think also it has to do with the thing they're talking about like chickens
Mhm.
and how they pick each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's similar. I mean, it's not the same bird, but it's still a reference to like a similar bird.
And what and why the fact that the chickens then being important? Like what's the link?
Because
I'm with you.
they are the geese, I think, and so like you're saying the chronics and the cutes, like one from east, one from west, and so they're kind of destroying each other.
Okay.
And
Well, and when do we have chickens with being patients? When do we have that link established for us already in the book? Like, not so much worried about it's different from being geese, and we already said geese are flying one way and all that kind of stuff, but when do we have chickens and patients? We have the pecking party with McMurphy first showing up. So, yeah, they certainly are like, pecking that's kind of taking place of one another, where, Shay, was it you saying pens kind of like being the hospital, we're kind of trapping them. We do have this kind of idea or this reference before from the pecking party that, yes, Big Nurse is going to trap the patients and have them kind of start to go at one another, which is going to have her, kind of being the one that's going to, the fisherman who's going to grab them and kind of catch them in that way. On top of that, plus the idea that, okay, when have we kind of talked about McMurphy being the goose that's going to swoop down? When have we had that goose connection made? Similar time to the pecking party. who's the bull goose loony? Who's the one who's in charge here? So, the goose kind of being the bird. And have any of you ever had interaction with a goose?
Yeah.
I'm actually completely petrified of geese.
If you ever get the opportunity to avoid a goose, take it. Avoid it.
No, even say every time I see a goose when I'm driving, I scream. I'm terrified of geese.
Anyone ever had a positive experience with a goose?
You know what's scary?
They walked away from you?
No, maybe higher geese.
Okay. They I mean, you talk about, boy, that bird being a painter, but like, they're nasty. They will go after you. So in a lot of ways, it makes sense for McMurphy to be the goose because he is the one who is going to annoy, disturb, kind of make things a wreck for individuals, especially big nurse and whatnot. So him being the bull goose loony, not so much worried about, loony and all that kind of stuff, but certainly we do have that establishment already that it does want to be, quote unquote, the goose when he's going around trying to ask people who is the bull goose loony. The other thing, anyone ever knows anything about his initials? I don't know if Kesey does this purposely, but what are his initials? Yeah, Randall Patrick McMurphy, like revolutions per minute, within your car, you got the gauge, you got the speedometer, but you also have that. Or what is that really? I mean, literally, it's revolutions per minute, so far as what it's like energy, and so what is McMurphy? He's constant energy, constant life, at least up through about the fishing trip, and then he kind of starts to tail off a little bit. But it's a pretty good set of initials for him where he's constantly on the go. He's constantly going at Big Nurse, trying to make things as difficult for her as he certainly can. So, yes, this idea with the pens, with the hens, with the goose, it does kind of match up with some things that we've already read about the characters within the course of the text. What else? And you can have some different interpretations of things that have already been highlighted, too. Keep that in mind. It's not like just because this got highlighted and mentioned that you can't talk about that anymore.
Well, we were talking about like the three Ds, the one for the
Mhm.
That could be like locations to that.
So, like, one, like Cheswick,
Yeah.
Bibbit, and then also, like, for all three?
Yeah.
Or were those the three you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Okay, so, Cheswick, Bibbit, and then McMurphy. Boy, that's an ugly looking R. So the three dead patients. Okay. Anything else about those geese going east and west?
They could be like when they leave the hospital at the end, like everyone is out.
So you
They all kind of go different directions.
So you have Harding going one way, Seefeld, Fredrickson going another. Whether it be those three, one flew over the cuckoo's nest is going to swoop you out, so at least kind of get down and pluck you out. Where McMurphy does not get out himself, but he has the ability to get you people out. So within it, and again, it's not going down to Morgan. I hate to tell you, you're wrong. She's right, or vice versa, because there is no definitive thing with it. But the main idea is we're taking a look at, okay, what are things that this is going to remind us of? Yeah, you forget about Cheswick, but honestly, by the time you get to parts 3 and 4, a lot of folks who are now, is this focused on Billy? Or people are crying for 45 minutes after reading the book because of Billy's end, which was happening to people in 4th period, and maybe in 1st period as well. But Cheswick kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit with it. So it's number one, kind of jogging our memories for it. But this whole idea about, okay, you're caught in the pen. What are we going to do? We're going to pluck you out. Who would have the ability to get you out? McMurphy's the one who gets you out, even though it might end up coming at his own demise. But now Harding has the ability to kind of free himself, and who also certainly has the ability to free himself. Chief, mentioned that the italics, the U is probably going to be Chief. Chief ends up being the one who ultimately is going to get removed.
Also to go along with like what you just started saying, like since he was chief and like plucks you out could be like McMurphy like bringing him out of the shell kind of, because then he started talking like after.
Yeah. And geese are loud. They're boisterous. Plus, where's Chief headed? We don't know how far he makes it or where he gets to. Where's Chief headed by the end? He's headed he's going to Canada. And when in part 2, beginning of part 2, where he has that moment of clarity when he looks out the window, he kind of presses his face up against the glass and sees things. What are the birds in the sky? The Canadian geese that are going to be flying. So, you still have this, therefore, kind of connection where alignment, he's going to be going where the geese are up to Canada, things like that.
You can go.
Yeah, but I'm being a male chauvinist.
Of course. Anyways, so
In honor of Juliet choosing Hemingway as her coffee.
so the second time they go into Tingle Tingle Toes, she says, tap your finger on each shoe with your black crab hand.
Mhm.
I said that was the Black Boys. Right where your hand is.
Yeah, right. Okay, so right here where I have, okay. Anything with Tingle Tingle, or are you just using that as a reference
To get you there.
to get me here?
I feel like there is now, though.
Maybe Virginia has something with it.
I was gonna say it's almost like it said the little face is looking up to be the one to be the you that the goose swoops down and plucks out.
Mhm.
All of the inmates are kind of, or the people in there are kind of what McMurphy has saved them. And Chief ultimately ends up. I mean, some of them do get saved, but I feel like Chief is really the one that gets plucked out by McMurphy. Even if some of the ones end up having the courage to leave themselves, it's kind of like Chief got picked, and like everyone is kind of like, oh, me.
And we're going with that. A little face asking to be the you that the goose swoops down. What's Chief's problem in a way? He's too small. Little face. What happens? He ends up puffing up and getting big.
Could you almost argue when it says like he plucks you up, that could almost be like machine imagery. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it sounds. It kind of sounds like what's happening to Blastic in the dream, where you're getting mechanical arm. I think of the at Chuck E. Cheese or Dave and Buster's, the claw game, where you throw in all your tickets and never win. Anyone ever win anything in the claw? Marie, what'd you get?
I wasn't me, it was my friend. He got a this is around the time when like the later Shrek movies came out, so we
Okay.
got a Shrek baby plush.
All right. Now it would be like Baby Yoda that people would be trying to get. Emily, did you win, or do you know someone who won? What'd you get? So it can happen. Like you've okay. They got to make their money. But where you have like this mechanical claw coming down and getting Blastic and ripping him open, and there's nothing left to it. Yeah, the idea that okay, McMurphy is going to come down, and even to like kind of further go with that, when Chief raises his hand for the vote for the baseball game for World Series, he even says it's as if McMurphy's hand came in and like lifted mine up. So you have this mechanical combine element, but now you have this human, regardless of how horrific of a human being he may be at some points. Yeah, you have this human element that's kind of coming down to save you, as opposed to this mechanical element that is going to harm you. Ethan, I was saying anything for Tingle Tingle Tangle Toes, and you said no, but maybe we'll learn one now. Kind of going with that mechanical element. Some folks kind of think of this almost as being a little bit of like an onomatopoeia / imagery reference going on. We started to like move it a little bit.
Okay, this is kind of obscure, but if the geese are, if he's actually following them to Canada, he's following them north, and if they're flying north, it has to be spring. And so I just thought that's almost like, I mean, it's a bit of a stretch because
Like New Beginning and all that.
yeah.
That doesn't have anything to do with Tingle Tingle Tangle Toes. I'm kind of disappointed.
If they're going east and west,
But she was like, my idea is better than that. So forget your tingle, tingle, tangle toes.
Well,
I mean,
that's what I was
she's
gonna
not
say.
wrong.
You just mentioned him.
It's a beautiful thing as long as you can support it. This is Abby's moment. And then we'll probably.
Okay, I was just gonna say like if you get like electrocuted, it's all like tickly.
Mm-hmm.
Electric shock.
So yeah, that EST. Which with Chief is certainly going to make sense because you have that repetition of that EST coming over and over and over again. Question.
I was just wondering if Grandma was supposed to be anybody.
Well, in literal flashback sense, Grandma is Grandma. Okay. I'm not trying to use that as like the smart aleck, response or anything like that to it. So Grandma is Grandma. I've never really identified Grandma with being another character. What for me, the idea, and certainly that doesn't mean that Morgan can't throw someone out or Grace or anyone else. It kind of it keeps it too Chief, in that this is, and he's also having a pretty clear memory at this point, going back to kind of like a happier time, and so not Chief. McMurphy is someone who's kind of bringing him back to this happier time where before it doesn't seem like that would happen quite as much. I like the game. I like Grandma. Even the idea of this game, we kind of talked about the snake eyes that would be going on, how many times that's coming up within that whole flashback scene, gambling. You kind of have to play the game now if you're going to do something and kind of risk a little bit in order to get out. Anyone else have any things with Grandma, though?
Not necessarily with Grandma, but I was just wondering like if the numbers had anything to do with anything, or if it's just randomly listing how many fingers it takes each time.
Yeah, because what's happening is it's based on syllables. So, tingle, tingle, tangle, toes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's like, literally within the game sense, it's like doing bubblegum in a dish or, all that kind of stuff. No, I haven't. I've never kind of looked at the numbers more so. I'm going, okay, if we take 7 plus 16, that's going to be 23. That's a prime number. Can't be divisible, except McMurphy can't be broken down. He's the prime being. I'm going to use that 7th period just to freak them out. But I think it's more just this how it would, how the game itself would kind of go.
Grandma's retelling the story. Chief is retelling the story. It's the gospel of Chief, aka Grandma. Okay, alright, I'm just gonna be quiet now. No one likes my ideas.
But you threw it out there. You know what?
It was worth a try.
It is. Anything else?
She's old.
Grandma's on. What's that for?
They look at the desert more.
Yeah, but she's just like squishing it.
I don't know. Laughing at Morgan in my head. Ew. With that you associate me old, and she's now associating with like ugly and decrepit and all those kinds of things. It's old memories, and so I like him. I like Grandma. Like and if you've I say like if you find treasure, and I don't want to mean like treasure hunt that you're going on, but like my garage is a mess so far as dust. It's neatly organized, but I have sawdust everywhere.
I
And so
definitely remember her saying that the garage is a mess and it was your fault.
no, I'm not saying it's not my fault. But the amount of sawdust that's in that garage, we're like, I'll clear something like, oh, I forgot I had that. How about that? And then I kind of remember and all those things. And for him, it's kind of like dusting off those memories and getting that connection back to grandma. And if he has a connection back with grandma, really, he has a connection with who? Whom? If he has a connection with grandma, if he has a connection with remembering grandma, he's really establishing a connection with himself, his past, and ultimately that's going to be, himself. So I think almost like, hey, there's, we're cleaning it off, and almost, Virginia's talking about, well, it'd be spring if they're going back to Canada, kind of new beginning. This is a new change for him, and the beginning of that next chapter where I got out of this a lot quicker than I used to be, I think would kind of reinforce that point.
What if it's almost like a motif of frenziness, but like almost the opposite? Like at the beginning he's always sweeping and everything's always very clean, but like as the book progresses, when things are like dirty, it's like it's always more human. And I mean, it's not always a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
but
More like authentic or
yeah,
genuine.
It's like it's real.
Yeah. And yeah, as you and I think he becomes more real. His memories kind of become more real for him. All right. So here's the big thing again to take from this is notice all those conversations we had about different things within the book coming from this little flashback of his. So number one, it certainly is going to be significant because we are getting the book of the name of our title here, the title of the book with One Flew East, One Flew West, One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest. So certainly Kesey wants this to be significant. But as you take a look at the little details, the individual words, which is really, you're analyzing diction, you're analyzing syntax, you're analyzing, symbols, motifs with it. This is going to be kind of like the mindset that you're going to be doing for the TWA that we'll take a look at tomorrow. Now, again, you're not going to get a passage going with Morgan's initial question, so this isn't going to be showing up on here specifically, but I could certainly see you writing about a variety of details that have gotten mentioned on here that you might, end up using within the prompt. With the themes that we're going to look at, we're going to try to identify what are devices that you would see that highlight any of those themes. A lot of times when we pass something out, go, okay, Virginia, what do you know about this one? Or Morgan, what do you know about this one? Sarah, what can you tell us about this? Really, for tomorrow, we're going to probably start with which one of these themes don't you know anything for, or are you having a hard time thinking of anything for, so that if you can kind of tackle the one that you would least want to have to write about, that's probably going to put you in a better position for the ones that you can certainly write about. And not that we're only going to focus on the ones that you don't like, but we'll kind of start there, and then that can kind of have a domino effect into hopefully the more positive ones for you. So tomorrow, Wednesday, outside of literary focus, we're still kind of looking at book as a whole. Any ideas when it comes to additional insights that you have, rhetorical devices, think about that you would want to use. If you have questions about would this be an example of a symbol, or would this be a motif, or is this going to be more imagery, now's going to be time to kind of throw those things out there so that we can try to clarify that for you as much as possible. Okay. So that Thursday is a yay day, not a or it could be both. It could be yay, my TWA.